Right. Welcome, folks that are joining us. We'll give everyone a
Welcome.
few minutes to get in. I don't know about you all, but I am super thrilled. Christina is back with us. For those of you that are coming in that were here last month, you might have remembered she stepped away for a month. We had Simone, who is one of our new awesome employees with the Zero Waste Leadership Team over here with Metro Nashville. But oh, I am so thrilled to have you back, Christina. I missed you dearly. Welcome back.
Thank you, Jen. I missed you too. It was hard to be away for the month, but I'm back. I'm ready to go. It's going to be fantastic. I say it all the time, we have a great episode, but this one I am super excited about. I have been excited about for months. We have a fantastic guest with us that we'll talk about in just a second, but we are going to have a great time. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. We'll do kind of the normal intro of a couple of minutes to let people trickle in, but I think we're going to have a wonderful hour and change together. So welcome to today's episode. We are excited to have Jaffee Judah, who is the CEO and co-founder of Recycle and Reinvest. And we should be also joined by his program director, Keith Benion, but he might be just joining in just a second. But we are so excited to have you here, Jaffee. We're going to get into some really great interview questions so you can learn more about his life, Keith's life, and everything that they're doing to really make Nashville safer, more beautiful, and just excited to have you. So they're going to talk about youth and community empowerment through kind of sustainable action in the community. As always, welcome to the show. We are a partnership between Zero Waste Nashville, so that's Jen's organization, and then my organization of Urban Green Lab, and we are excited to have another Sustainable in the City episode. And before we even get any more into this, I want to warn people that apparently I have a walnut tree in my yard. I'm just learning that it's a walnut tree from Jen. And it is very loud and it smashes down on the roof. So no concern for me. I'm totally safe, but you might hear some wild blasts coming from my speakers. So I apologize for that. But thank you, Jen, for letting me know that it's a walnut tree. How exciting.
How fun to know you now have a walnut tree and what those giant little things are coming down, crashing upon your head.
Abby said in here to us that she thinks everyone else is having the same walnut tree issue. So yes.
I saw a squirrel with one. It was bigger than its face. It was running around with it. I was like, I don't even know how this squirrel can get this thing in its mouth, but it's been very interesting with the walnuts. So we are here, sustainable in the city. We might have a little weird sounds happening, but it's always it's the same format. So let's go over that format really quick with everybody. As a reminder, I think for those of you that have been around the past couple of episodes, I had issues with the chat settings and the Q&A settings, but today we are on it, so the chat should be working. So as a reminder, the chat feature is where we want you to share your thoughts, share any resources you have, chat with each other. Make sure that you set your settings that it says to everyone when you use the chat. That way everybody can see anything you want to share. So make sure it doesn't say hosts and panelists. You want it to say to everyone. And then so that's one feature that we have. But then for our guest today and to ask their questions to our guest, you want to use the Q&A feature. So that's been new over the past couple of months, but it's been working really well. So the Q&A feature, you can see here, it's just the two little talking bubbles. It says Q&A. You click on that. You're able to ask questions through that. You can ask anonymously if you feel like you want to do that. You can also upvote when people ask questions. So that allows us to better prioritize questions that y'all have, which is a really great feature we've been able to incorporate into Sustainable in the City. So any question you want to our panelists, we'll get to those towards the end of our presentation, but put those in the Q&A. And then anything you want to just chat about and share as a human, as resources, put that in the chat. And so to make sure we all are using the chat and setting it up correctly, we've got a question for you all today to put into the chat. And we're curious to know where, if you have done a litter pickup or a litter cleanup, where across the city have you been cleaning up in Nashville? Or if not Nashville, somewhere else? Has anybody done a cleanup? Ooh, alleys. Those are excellent places that need a lot of cleanup
All the
sometimes.
alleys.
All the alleys.
Love it.
I will note I like to clean up when we're walking our dogs. So sometimes it's just a walk around, walk around the block and pick up a few pieces of litter here and there.
Nice.
Excellent. Oh, we've
Shelby
got
Park, Trinity Lane.
Whites Creek, Cleveland. This is kind of all over. This is great.
Yes. Alleys in Cleveland Park.
Oh, great. Oh, good plug for Tennessee Environmental Council this Saturday. Has one in Inglewood, it looked like.
Yes. People are
Oh,
ready for this question.
I
Like,
know. Look at this.
details. Like,
I love it.
this is
Well,
awesome.
I did see a few people. Abby, you might have put it to hosts and panelists. So make sure you're setting it to everyone. So everyone, Kenneth also, you did it host and panel. So under that too, make sure you click to everyone because we want to make sure that everyone is able to see what you're sharing. So just check that. And I think we've got a handle on the chat. I think we're ready to go. So I think it's time to get into our extremely wonderful guest today. And I'm going to turn it back over to you, Christina, and stop sharing my screen and let us get going.
Wonderful, wonderful. And then Ashley just sent in that she did it in the Napier neighborhood, and that is exactly where our darling Jaffee does a lot of his work. And so that's a really great one to kind of start with. So again, welcome, Jaffee. We are so excited to have you here today. I will tell the audience that I had just a coffee meeting with this gentleman a couple of months ago, and scheduled for like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and we ended up talking for 2 hours because he just really he gets it. He really cares about this work. The organization that he started is absolutely beautiful and doing some really important work in Nashville, and we thought he needs to be on this show. We need to know what's going on with Recycle and Reinvest. So he is the CEO and co-founder. We were going to have some of his other co-founders on the show today, but they, like everyone else, are human and had some things that they had to tend to. So we wish them well and hope that they have a wonderful day. And I'm sure that you'll have other opportunities to meet them if you get involved with Recycle and Reinvest, which we really hope that you do. So we are going to start it off. We're going to have just a kind of a casual conversation with Jaffee, learn about his journey, learn about why he started this organization, what they're actually doing in the community, why they're making an impact, and then also, of course, how you all as our audience members can really get involved in supporting this work. And we have a really fun event that's coming up, I believe next weekend, that we will also be plugging. So stay tuned till the end. And then as always, we will get to your questions, and Jen will kind of field those to Jaffee when we have a second at the end. So thank you so much, Jaffee. We're so excited to have you. And we would just love if you could just start it off by telling us a little bit about you. How did you find yourself at Recycle and Reinvest, and what does your kind of sustainability and general journey look like?
Man, so one great introduction. Thank y'all for having me. This is truly an honor. I actually used to, I still look out for these alerts for the sustainability in the city webinars, and boom, here we are, we're on here. So this is truly a blessing. With Recycle Reinvest, our beginnings, or my beginnings, really come from, can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, of course. So just how did you find yourself starting Recycle Reinvest? What does your journey look like?
Indeed. So we ended up starting Recycle Reinvest. By first, it was a lifestyle, I would say. I am a now author, but before I was an author, I had did some time in juvenile and in prison. And once I was released from prison at the age of 22, and I started to get back into the community, we had noticed that there were very large amounts of just litter and trash in these areas that we were engaging in cleanups in. And most of these areas were also high crime areas. So after, coming out from prison and going back into these communities, I started to talk to people. I started to go to other neighborhoods and do other cleanups. And we started to just really put boots on the ground and just really get in the community and just being of service how we could. We've also did things like, feed, give back to the homeless and feed food. But like, it was something about the litter that was in these communities that we had noticed was a real issue. So as a collective and as a tribe, we started to clean up our communities. And then as we started to clean up our own communities, I'm from East Nashville, born and raised. I didn't get a chance to graduate, but I went to Hunters Lane. So I'm a native of Nashville, Tennessee. And, growing up, trash was an issue as well, but it was never something that was on my radar until I went through what I went through as a youth and didn't have the, access to certain resources and certain leaders in my environment. I noticed that as I got older and as we went into these communities and I started to meet people and talk to other people, we came to the conclusion that we wanted to do something about that. And the way that we wanted to go about doing that is starting our nonprofit, Recycle and Reinvest, as a way to not only encourage people to do environmental stewardship, but to also be creative as to how you can take value in what is around you and use it for reuse it for a significant purpose. So, and yeah, that's how we pretty much really got started, I would say.
Great. And you mentioned not having kind of those leaders around to show you kind of how to do this work, I guess. So when you were going into these communities and kind of coming back from your time, did you look to anybody who was doing this work? Like, was there someone that you were kind of following their footsteps, or were you really just, you came out and you said, why is there still so much trash in this neighborhood? I got to do something about it. And you just started it from kind of nothing? Or was there a group already doing something? Did you really start it from just an idea, I guess is what I'm trying to get at, because I think that's really beautiful.
So it wasn't necessarily my idea. You know what I'm saying? It was more so like self-leadership. It started with self-leadership because I have participated and collaborated with other community cleanups before we were Recycle Reinvest. And what made it different about us is, we started in our own personal communities, and through conversation, other communities such as the Napier community in South Nashville invited us in, and we formed something. So what it was is more like we didn't necessarily start it, but we more so stay consistent and started to assess and acknowledge certain issues in the community.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that. That's a little bit of that's kind of what I wanted to hear. I love that part of you were invited in and then you stayed and you showed up and you kept showing up, and that was part of it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the community that you work in mostly, but I would love to hear just a little bit more about what is the specific mission of Recycle and Reinvest? What are you trying to do as an organization?
Indeed. So Recycle, our mission is to cultivate the next generation of environmental stewards through art, education, and youth mentorship, because we know that a lot of the environmental issues that are placed upon these, some was called undesirable areas. We know that they are being neglected of resources. So with Recycle Reinvest, we are here to our dream is to be the staple sustainability nonprofit organization where people can come learn a skill, be a resource for healthy food options, help cultivate a safe, clean community with clean water, affordable housing, be more so of a resource, be more so of a resource. And we want to start that by first just leading with community cleanups or leading with eco-friendly habits that will introduce them to the world of sustainability.
That's beautiful. You're really trying to recycle and reinvest in the community. And that's really what kind of sustainability is about. Can you talk to me about what you like, kind of how you define sustainability? What does it mean to you?
Sustainability means to me is, I would say, a way that people can make profit in this world without it being harmful to, I would say, Earth, but also without it being, I would say, not only harmful to Earth, but also disconnected from like nature and like, I would say, certain disconnected from nature, I would say, because in a lot of our communities, we don't really see the value of, waiting until we get to the trash can to throw it away. We more so in certain communities, we think of just throw it where you are. In certain communities where we don't have access to healthier food options, we may have a different mindset. It may be more difficult to introduce gardening and recycling. So, yeah, I hope that answers the question. Like, I really hope that answers the question.
Yeah. You see it as kind of reconnecting people to nature and kind of seeing that there is no real disconnection there, except for what's kind of imposed upon communities. And so trying to bring that back, that nature kind of appreciation and understanding is kind of what I got from that. And so I would love to know why you focus specifically on litter prevention. Can you talk a little bit more about the connection between litter and crime?
We focus mostly on litter prevention because it's the quickest way to see change. And we're able to share the power of who is doing the changing. So if youth see us, picking up trash, what has happened is when we're not in that community, the youth are picking up trash now. So this changes the mindset of that individual, even if it's for a moment, that changes their mindset, and we're able to introduce them to other things. But we first, like I said, have to address and assess and like understand that the criminal occurrences that's like going on in these neighborhoods and like the things that are going on in these neighborhoods are like an issue as well. So focusing on, hey, if you pick up that trash, because we know, and it's based on research, like it's proven that most communities that are cleaner are safer. So we want them to embrace these habits to hopefully have a safer neighborhood, because when you have neighborhoods full of trash, it kind of invites crime. It kind of almost like not saying it, but it's saying like it's okay to not have value over here. It's okay to and we don't want to push that narrative. We don't want people to have that mindset. So litter prevention is the quickest, is the most cost effective, is the most impactful way that we've noticed that people and also changing the narrative of like litter prevention is like a conscious effort as opposed to a consequence. A lot of times when we do see people who are picking up trash, we see it by our people who are incarcerated, and I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good at all, because being an environmental steward isn't a consequence, it's a conscious choice. So if we want people to live a more conscious lifestyle, it's like we have to change those negative or those harmful narratives that are kind of crippling our mindset when it comes to living a sustainable life.
I feel like what I'm hearing from you, Jaffee, is you haven't said this word, but it keeps coming up in my head, is like dignity. There's dignity in the work that you're doing, both in the people who are doing it and then also kind of giving dignity. I don't want to say back to a community, because I think human beings have kind of an inherent dignity, but just really making sure that people are feeling good in their community. Does that resonate with you?
Not only just feeling good, but like recognizing the power that they have, because it's, you know, if you ever come out there to a cleanup, and I don't know if you have, in this type of community, the way that we, first of all, when we are implementing our cleanups are not just simple, hey y'all, we got donuts and cookies and let's go clean up. You're actually coming and you're getting educated on how we use the lens of environmental justice to help us guide our community cleanups, eco workshops, pretty much, you know, the everything else that our community initiatives and youth mentorship programs. We use that as a way to be our scope, and also our structure when we're approaching these cleanups. Also embracing the Hermes principles, you know, that, you know, give us a better understanding on how to stay connected to Mother Earth, but also be connected to Mother Earth. Yeah, be more connected to Mother Earth and move in a way of I don't like saying like democratic, but like I don't want to say like democratic, because those are like democratic organizing principles, but it's not so much about being democratic. It's more so about just, you know, embracing the trueness of what sustainability is. Because I was introduced to sustainability from, you know, Robert Bullard and you know, some of his speeches and you know, so the cleanup is more than just a cleanup, but it's more so a, like I said, it's a habit. It's a changing of narrative. It's a time of education for the youth to learn, you know, how to be their own leaders in life and organize their own teams in the community to continue out these efforts.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea of kind of this like self leadership that you kind of keep going back to, of giving these folks the tools and the resources in the community, but really it's each of us, our job to kind of do this work, and you're just kind of making it really fun and exciting. And I would love to hear what you kind of started to talk about this, but like what does a typical volunteer pickup day look like? And what are those educational efforts that you're talking about? You know, you're not just doing the donuts and let's go clean up. So what does a typical kind of day look like? And what are those educational efforts that you're weaving in?
Indeed. So a typical day looks like you pull up to the cleanup, you sign in, we go over the safety guidelines that we need to be aware of. We go over, you know, a little bit about our organization and who we are, what we do, but we also ask that the way that we organize our teams, we have a community cleanup captain who is holding the bags and keeping track of who's separating the cans from the landfill. And we take those cans and we turn those into cash, transfer them into cash. And then we take the trash, landfill, we throw that, you know, discard that in the dumpster so it can be picked up. So, and then you get a chance to learn where you can take your cans to transfer it into cash. You also get a chance to learn how you can be more resourceful and or less wasteful. We call it living a waste less lifestyle. You get a little bit of all that at the cleanup, during our cleanup. So like I said, it's not just like you come and you, like I said, you pull up and we clean up. It's kind of like we kind of give you these the tools. We kind of give you the tools that you need to go organize your own cleanup and be your own leader. Because we want everyone to be captains. This is not something that, like I said, that is new. It's something that we stayed the most consistent with, and we become more intentional about our approach.
Yeah. And you started to touch on it. Your answers are just kind of flowing exactly with the way that we really wanted to structure this conversation. Is, you know, I'm sure folks are on this call thinking, how do I do this on my own? How do I get my own litter cleanup going? Do you have any advice? I don't want to give your whole spiel that you give during your cleanups and steal your thunder there, but can you give us a little sneak peek into what you tell folks when you're trying to get them to be kind of these captains and leaders in different communities?
I say this, few tips, 3 tips. 1, don't work in silos. Do not work in silos when you're doing this work. Work together. It's a lot of trash, and this is not a 1 person, 2 person. This is an all person. Your street is our street. That's my personal motto. Your street is our street. I might not be from this community, but if we're going to focus on this community, let's all come together. So that's one thing. Don't work in silos. Look who's already doing the work. 2, I would say identify your areas and why you want to do it. We believe having intentional cleanups is important. If you're doing it by yourself, just be intentional, because I feel like with cleanups, you can sometimes, get spaced out, and it's kind of meditative, at times when you're picking up trash. So 1, don't work in silos, but 2, if you do work alone, be intentional and have structure. 3, I would say, be very aware of your resources that you have available when it comes to discarding your waste. Know where you can drop off what's recyclable, know where you can drop off what's landfill, know where you can drop off what, all those different things. So you're just not taking it all to one location. Make sure everything is definitely going in its right place. Great.
I really love that, the kind of plug of find the people who are doing the work already. And maybe if there is no one doing the work, which there probably is somewhere, then you can be kind of that person who starts to cultivate it, but really looking first, who's doing this? Let's make sure that we're adding efforts and support and resources, and not just kind of coming in and doing this work without knowing the community first. I think is really important, is what you're saying.
Reaching out to Nashville.gov, they will provide you with materials. That's what we are, partner with. That's what we go through. Also, if I say I'm gonna give you 2 more, so I'm really giving like 5. Look into the Adopt a Street program. Adopting a street program is also a great way to stay consistent with the community cleanup. Because this is like saying, like, if you don't really want to work with an organization, and you don't really want to work, all alone, or with, a small team, and you kind of need some backup assistance with certain materials, and it depends, and also it's a thing where it depends on where you are financially, depends on where you are, with your time of your day. All those things go into effect. So this is like, use this information loosely, as needed, I guess, as they say. But also, look into adopting the street. And if you adopt the street, they will provide you with the materials. And they will also pick up the trash, and if you need them to, and they will, let other people know about your cleanup that you're hosting. So you're not only relying on your resource of social media, if you have that, or word of mouth, if you're at a local church or something of that nature. Like, that's what I believe.
Wonderful. Thank you. And those are some like really concrete tips and tricks of the trade. And so we'll make sure that in the follow-up email to everyone, that some of those things that you referenced will be in there for folks to start trying to, do this work on their own. Of course, we want to also, really focus in on the work that you all are doing, because that's why we're here today, is to learn more about Recycle and Reinvest. And so correct me if I'm wrong, but the work that you do does focus mostly on the Napier community, correct? Or have
Correct.
you worked with other communities? Kind of, I guess you said this in the beginning, that Napier kind of invited you right in to stay. So I guess, like, do you have any plans to go into other neighborhoods? Are you really trying to kind of double down in Napier? Why Napier? What has made it special for you? Can you just talk a little bit more in general about that community and what it means to you?
Solid. So yes, to answer the question, we have worked with other communities and we have worked with other companies, organizations to host cleanups other than Napier. Excuse me. In the past, what is this, 2022? In 2021, we hosted the Jefferson Street Sweep. And the Jefferson Street Sweep was a commitment of every second Sunday, a community cleanup would happen. And we just cleaned up Jefferson Street. And this was through partnerships with, 200 Man Stand, Elks Lodge, and a few others that are on our website that y'all can check out. And we just made a commitment to clean up that street because we know that, Jefferson Street is like the centric center for like, African Americans. So, and we also aware that there are 3 HBCUs in that community. And we felt like it was our responsibility. We want to come together to put a hyper focus on Jefferson Street and kind of, also, like I said, showcasing our leadership and increasing visibility of leadership in the community. And they were great. It was a great turnout. We have, a recap video of what that looks like on our website. You all can go check that out at recyclereinvest.org. And she'll include that, in the follow-up. So we, like I said, we did Jefferson Street Sweep for commitment of a year. We've also did East Nashville for a commitment of 2 years. We just wrapped up Brooklyn Heights Community Garden this year in 2022 as a recent. So it's just about a thing where a conversation needs to be had. It needs to get, in our game plan, and then we can go forward with, possibly doing a cleanup. Because when we're right as of right now, it's a conversation we're interested in entertaining. But as of right now in 2022, and for the next, I would say 3 to 5 years, we want to be hyper focusing in Napier in the South Nashville area, because one, we were invited. The community, people from that community, came to us, spoke to us. People who work in like an RA building, they spoke. They're like, "Hey, we need that over here." And just after, working with different partners over there and working with the village, we have came to the conclusion that Napier is in great need, for not only Napier, but really just South Nashville. So that's Napier all the way up to Antioch. That's really our focus, that whole cluster, those 2 clusters, I guess 1 or 2 clusters, but District 9 is our area, is our focus. And but we're open to engaging, and entertaining any conversation when it comes to doing litter prevention and community cleanups in another community. But as far as litter prevention and programming, we're focused in the Napier area. We want to be a part of increasing, not only I would say, or not increasing, but more so reducing not only the amounts of trash, but also being a resource to assist reducing the criminal occurrences that go on in the Napier area. Yeah,
definitely. I love that you're open to working and doing this litter prevention kind of anywhere where your heart kind of takes you and a conversation takes you. Open to exploring these things, but kind of your programming and your that reinvest idea, you're really focusing in on this hyper local idea of we were invited and now we're here to stay. We're not going to bounce and go to another place, just because we had a conversation. I think that's a really beautiful way of doing this type of work. It's kind of pouring your soul into this one community. And I think something that whenever I hear things like this, especially as a white woman working in the sustainability kind of field, you're always kind of thinking about how green efforts and how litter prevention and these kind of beautification projects of communities of color in particular can often lead, or I shouldn't say often can sometimes lead to kind of this green gentrification. It can almost make it, you make it this safer, more beautiful, more accessible community, and then that actually drives out the folks who made it that special community to begin with. So I know you're one organization, you're trying your hardest to kind of do right by this community. Can you talk to me a little bit more about what you're doing to ensure that kind of long-standing community members are protected and supported as you're working to really increase the resources that are coming to this neighborhood?
Indeed. So that's a great question. Protect one, in order to be protected, I think, as we continue to highlight the inequality in these like underserved communities, getting surveys from the neighborhood residents who live in the community, getting government officials to have attention, raise awareness of people who are in these like inadequate health, areas, who have access to food, transportation, really just living in overall unsafe areas, I think is how we are able to bring some equity to the community, getting their input, taking that input as an assessment and using it as a way to provide them with the resources that are needed, as well as give them the power to be a part of that. Giving them the power to be a part of that. We are a small organization right now, and we do know that as a small organization, in order for us to do more, we want to have to, get the substantial funding that we need for the organization, but also we're going to have to, acknowledge the issues that are going on and also understand it case by case. It's not a situation where we can generalize what is going on in this area just because it's 90% of people on Section 8, in this community. That's not something we can do. It's something that we have to like get that information, get that feedback, do our research, and then approach it. So I feel like with them being a part of that, and the way that we go about doing that is going into the community, doing canvassing. Tonight, we're doing a canvassing between 4 to 6. We do canvassing in the Napier community, just to let them know we're here, let them know we have resources if they need it, let them find out what that is, because through our partners, we're able to get some things, but whether it be food or diapers or just help on bills, bunch of things, whatever it could be. We can provide them with those resources, but for us, we believe that just continuing to, like I said, highlight that, acknowledge it, assess it, and also kind of like, making sure that other people don't come in and have that privilege, what I'm saying? Just have that privilege, man, to really take this community and use it for just to kick them out, and they have nowhere to go, or they have no skill, or no, it's just so we don't want that. So we want to make sure that we're continue to be a resource and doing what we can, doing our part for sure.
I think that's a really beautiful way of being a sustainability organization. You're not just talking about let's clean up the streets and call it a day. Let's clean up the streets, but let's make sure that you have a skill that is employable, and let's make sure that you have diapers and food, and really kind of treating the whole community, as opposed to just maybe this little one part of the environment. And you and I were talking earlier this morning, with someone else about the kind of the 3 concentric or Venn diagram of society, economy, and environment. And I feel like you all really kind of embody that in such an organic way. And we have your program director that just joined us. Hello, Keith Benion. We are so excited to have you here, sir. Is there anything that you want to add to this question, or would you like us to move on and you can hop in another time? You are muted. My darling friend, you are muted. If you could unmute and then we can hear what you have to say. There we go.
Thank you for having me. I don't know what the question we are working on right now, but if you could, I'll be happy to contribute if I can.
Yeah. I'll give you a little bit of what I asked him, and then maybe I can even hop into the next question, which is very similar and is kind of along the same line of basically we were talking about how your organization is working to combat the kind of green gentrification of a neighborhood. So making sure that it's not just a beautification project that then maybe eventually pushes the folks out of a community, but really kind of taking that holistic approach of supporting the people and the environment and the economy and kind of this whole thing. And so I would love if Keith, if you could give us your explanation of how equity and justice really is the backbone of the work that you're doing, and why that's so important that anybody working in sustainability is thinking about equity and justice at the forefront of that work.
Yes, I'll be happy to. The equity and justice part of our program is still developing. We are constantly getting training and attending seminars to find out best practices for delivering equitable and justice program. We try our best to reach the area residents where they are.
Mm-hmm.
So if they are at a point where the cleanup, sustainability, zero waste is not on their radar,
Mm-hmm.
we want to entice them and encourage them to learn more about it by attending some of our mentorship sessions. We go into the school there at Napier Elementary and work with the kids at the 4th and 5th grade level, during the summer programs and also during the school year, to give them some guidelines, make it interactive so that they have projects to participate in, hands-on things that they can do. Last year when we did our zero waste at Napier, the kids themselves decided they wanted to do a newsreel or a news broadcast, which was a video prepared with them as the newscasters and explaining the things that they had learned doing the zero waste project. They were very excited, and we had some of those kids come back for the summer, and they were just as enthusiastic, and we gave them projects that they could get their hands on. We did some tie-dyeing with color and explaining how that works. We had some recycled materials of cans and whatnot, trash that we helped them to turn into banks and different craft projects. We have also tried to focus on instilling self-love, pride. I remember you said something about dignity early on, and those are the things that we find that will help bring the children up to par with where we are, where we want to be. Also, kind of help their parents to see the light, so that a family not necessarily bringing the kids up to par, and then the families left with their same mindset. We want to impose a new vision to the family so that wherever they are can learn to exist, sustain themselves.
Yes. Keith, I think we might have lost you, Keith, or maybe a little bit of the internet. Good, we got you back. But I think everyone heard most of what you were saying, and I just really love that point of kind of focusing on youth and focusing on the kids to then bring that back to their guardians or their parents or their family. Jaffee, is there anything else that you want to add about the work that you all do with kind of the youth lens, I suppose?
We are it's very youth voice and choice in our programming. It's very youth voice and choice, and that is what I feel like that is what the one of the crucial components for us that we like to keep available and open, because a lot of times a lot of youth who are experiencing high levels of trauma, or kids who are experiencing you know, lack of healthy food options. It doesn't help promote or produce the best critical thinking skills. So I think that, you know, our approach and what we're doing, it gives them that chance to be in a brave space to speak up more often, and control the narrative, and give, like I said, they share the power of how something is created, or how a day may look at the community cleanup. Something else I forgot is a lot of the youth work or volunteer. I won't say work, but also volunteer at our community cleanups and at our block party, Bang for Liberation, which is coming up October 22nd. Most of them are just like, hey, can I lead the pledge? Can I stand here? People signed up, and what we have a pledge that basically, when you take this health and wellness pledge, when you take this cleanup pledge, the R&R pledge, they created the pledge, you know. So youth voice and choice is a big component, it's a critical component of our programming, and that's something I hope people understand, that we're really living by our truth when it comes to creating the space for the next generation to become leaders, eco leaders.
Yes, and you have your eco drip workshops and other things that you do. Keith was talking about this just a little bit, where you actually, you know, you're going into Napier Elementary and you're teaching these students all of the stuff that you're doing. So they're getting kind of that educational lens, but then they're also coming and getting that leadership experience and really seeing their work mean something. And I think that's really a wonderful thing that you all do. So I'm glad that we had a chance to talk about that more. And I think that you all have something where folks in the community can actually help lend their own skills. Is that correct? Where they can actually lend some skills to help develop the skills of the youth that you work with. Can you talk about that just real quick?
Yes. So we also like to, like I said, collaborate or partner with other companies, organizations that have workshops, because in the past we've had days where sometimes volunteer mentors come in and they lead a workshop, and that workshop can be on everything from food waste to tie-dye, like Brother Benion was saying. It could be over tie-dye, using natural plants and fruits as the dye, and you repurposing a t-shirt. It could be something, like I said, it could be something that's turning a t-shirt into a tote bag, you know, and, you know, repurposing t-shirts and using as a garden satchel. So yes, we're very open to having eco entrepreneurs or different eco sustainability facilitators and teachers come in and for a day, in about an hour, and take the lead on it, you know. Our main office is in East Nashville, but through our partnerships, through our pencil partnerships at Napier Elementary School, we host most of our summer school and after school programming in school. But we also have a virtual option. We also have a virtual option that is normally going on around like beginning of fall, like August, sometime. And like all the information is on our website, but like, yeah.
Great. So anybody on here, if you have, maybe you can't do a community cleanup, although hopefully you will join them in one at some point. If you have some other skills that you want to impart on these students, get in touch and let's see if we can make some connections and bring even more great skills to these lovely students that are already getting such wonderful kind of attention from this group. And I would love, we're coming up on time where we want to open it up to the questions from the chat. But I just have a couple of more questions that I want to make sure that we get to. You use music and media to share and kind of tell your story. And I would love if you could just kind of explain a little bit more, either how you use music or maybe why you use music, or maybe both.
Solid. So the reason why I use music is because I am an artist first. Before I was a CEO of Recycle and Reinvest, I am an artist. I am a writer, and writing and art was like therapy for me. Been going through what I've been through. So, and it was also a medium where I could meet the youth that were in this community. A lot of our youth in the community like to rap, like to create YouTube videos, like to, they love to use the arts. They love to be theater. They love to just have creative ideas. And now that from the root of those, from my artist roots, I would say, we kind of started just including information on how to embrace a more sustainable life. And we did that with a rap song. A few of my tribe members, or a few of my colleagues, but mostly really tribe members, we came together and we made a rap song called Eco Drip. And Eco Drip was just a rap song we made in response to the pandemic. We were on lockdown, and we had originally, before we were on lockdown, well, I hate that word, but before we were, in the, limited access to outside, we couldn't do anything. And we had planned a Earth Day event, and the Earth Day event did not go through because of the pandemic. So what we decided to do is we stayed engaged with our followers. We stayed engaged with our people through music and through art, and just, taking a moment to write a song in our way, but we still made it cool. We still made it hip. We didn't, we had to make it us, to where our people could connect to it, because we have a very special audience when it comes to introducing sustainability to these communities. So we did it our way, and that's what really worked. And that's what's also became something that the youth have seen as the best way for them to connect to this message. I would say connect to our mission and the work that we want to carry out in the community. So yeah, we use music, we use the art, because it's just a great way for us to connect stronger, so we can go forward with our mission.
That's beautiful. And we will be sending that Eco Drip music video out in the follow-up, so you guys can stream that over and over and over again and get it stuck in your head and share it far and wide, hopefully, when you fall in love with it. It was a great video that I have seen before, and I really just was like, this is it, this guy gets it. And so very excited to share that with y'all. And so we are coming up on the hour, and I want to make sure that we get to our questions, but I want to also make sure that you have a chance to spend a nice chunk of time chatting about the Bang for Liberation coming up. Our organization, Urban Green Lab, will be there. I'm not sure if Jen will be there. Hopefully she will. But we want to make sure that folks know what this is and how they can participate. And so if you want to just give a little spiel about that, and then we'll move into the questions.
Indeed. So Bang for Liberation is a eco-friendly block party that was created by a collective of people from the community who are passionate about raising awareness on social justice issues. So as a way for us to continue out our not only work, but also have a moment of celebration, have a day of peace and no violence, and also have a day of bringing other organizations together to create more sustainable options for this community and resources for this community, and also honor those neighborhood heroes who have been doing the work before Recycle Reinvest came into your community. So all of that is during a daily festival called Bang for Liberation. That basically means freedom. We want people to not only look at this day as a block party, but also look at this day as a day that we have put in all of our hard work, cleanups, because we only do cleanups. We do this block party at the end of the year. So that way we completed at least 8 to 16, 24 cleanups in a year. And this is a moment where we come together and celebrate. But before we celebrate, we lead with a community cleanup. We clean up our area, or we call it heal the block. We heal the block, we clean up our area. Then we provide them with information and with different information on how to live, take some of these eco-friendly habits home, and also provide them with a free haircuts. It's like free not facials, but manicures for the little girls. We partner with barber colleges. They come out, barbers, they come out. It's also where, man, just a lot going on, just a whole lot going on. But this is our day and our moment. We come together and focus on how we can continue to recycle and reinvest, continue to be environmental, not only stewards of this land, but make healthier choices, make in our community. So October 22nd is the day of that event. It's going to be going on from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the community cleanup when we heal the block. And then from, I would say, 1:30 to like 6 o'clock, we'll be partying on the block. And it'll be filled with a bunch of, like I said, different organizations, eco-entrepreneurs coming out, letting you know they're in this community, they're available, they're a resource. We'll also have expungement clinic during that time, voter registration, what else? Different self-defense options in that for that community. Speakers will be out there. And it's all free. It's all free. Everything is free. And you'll also get a chance to, get some food from our plant-based buffet. We won't have a Publix. We're going to Publix, and Trevecca sponsored us for food this year. So we're going to be able to provide free plant-based options for at least one day to this community. So that way they can take this home and hopefully carry it out in their own homes.
Fantastic. I mean, I don't know how you hear that and don't get excited. That it's a really beautiful day. And this is your fifth year doing it?
This is our 5th year doing it.
Beautiful.
B4L, Bang for Liberation, is a tribe, as a collective of community builders and artists who come together to do these events for different organizations, but primarily right now they're focusing on Recycle, Reinvest. And this came about because, one, it's just as a small nonprofit, it's very difficult to sometimes just rely on grant funding or just rely on donations. And so what ended up happening is, like I said, when we were doing all of our boots on the grassroots, boots on the ground, and volunteering with other people, once we came to the conclusion that we want to focus on this community, people who don't work for Recycle Reinvest, they decided, hey, we got your back and we're going to assist you in this way. So those people from B4L are like the credible messengers or the credible people from the community who give us the input, who let us know what they want, what they need. We also partnered with Root Nashville this year, and we're planting 10 trees in the Napier community. So increasing green spaces is something that we'll be doing in the Napier community through our partnerships at Root Nashville. I was a plant captain for this year, as well as Brother Benion. We were plant captains for this year. And we made sure we got some trees to the Napier area. That was, that's also, so yeah, I hope that answers your question about Bang for Liberation B4L.
Yes.
And it'll be more information on the website.
Yes. And we will definitely make sure that we share that, the flyer that you've sent around. And I really hope that folks will find themselves coming over and showing some support and having fun, just having fun. I think that's really such an important part of what you all are doing, is you're just bringing so much love and joy to this work. And I think that is always needed. So thank you for that. We are right at 1 p.m., my friends. So we are going to switch it over to Jen, and she's going to ask some of our questions from the chat. So if you have to hop off, we understand, but we do hope that you'll stick through for the next 15 or so minutes and hear these wonderful gentlemen give some answers to your questions. So why don't you get on into it, Jen?
I will. This has been wonderful, by the way. And we do have a good number of questions in here, but I just want to remind everyone, if you want to upvote a question, you can do that, because I will be going in order of our upvotes, and then after that, in order of when you entered your question. So our first one, what do you specifically say to youth to get them excited about environmental stewardship and litter cleanups? How do you shield youth from burnout and inspire them to be the next generation of stewards when maybe they didn't make the mess in the first place? And is there a way to inspire multiple generations?
It is a way. That's a great question. That's a great question. It is a way to inspire multiple generations. And I would say, for one, what I think motivates them is we look like them. We're going into this community and we look like them. We have tattoos, we have locks, we have similar backgrounds. And that, for one, representation is, for one, a key factor of why the youth who see us coming there. Two, we've established a rapport, a relationship, trust before we came into this community. This wasn't something that we thought was a great idea to bring to this community. It was something that community came to us and said, we need you. So that helps. That really helps. One, representation, I would say, and building the trust and understanding what their needs are. And the way that we inspire multiple generations is giving platforms to up and coming nonprofits like us that will give it back to those who are coming through our, programs or workshops. I think that's how it will continue to inspire others. Them seeing other success stories and becoming those success stories, or being part of the journey of the success story.
I love that. The representation thing is just, it's absolutely huge. All right, our next question: how are you reaching out to communities like Napier to encourage and educate people to not litter in the first place? Is this an agenda item in, say, community newsletters, community meetings, MDHA correspondence? So that kind of preventative side of litter prevention.
Indeed. So that is something we're still developing. As of right now, we notify people through email or social media posts, blasts, and giving them different tips. But it's also something that needs to be more developed. It's something that needs to be, it's an arm of the organization that needs to also be funded, because we believe that we really want the youth to take the lead on that, whether it's creating a newsletter, whether it's creating content, we really believe that the youth should be the lead of that, and we should play the background on this, because they don't really get a chance. They really don't get a chance to do that often as we. I don't have children, so this is something that I'm learning that is, best for them from what they're telling us and what parents are agreeing with.
It is amazing how an adult will change a behavior so rapidly. I could tell somebody, hey, there's this impact. You could tell someone, hey, there's this impact if you change this behavior, and it'll go one in one ear, out the other, and their 10-year-old kid tells them and they're like, all right, I got to do it. It's incredible, the power that they have. So absolutely. Our next question goes back. I think you brought this up really early on in the program, but the idea of profit without hurting the earth. And so the question is, how can people make that profit through Recycle Reinvest?
How can people make that profit through Recycle and Reinvest?
Mm-hmm. That is the question. Yes, I can ask for a clarification if I need to.
I kind of want some clarification on what you mean by that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Profit on.
Um,
I
Go
can
ahead.
chime in on some of the things that we teach during our leadership sessions is the economics around recycling. Break it down to where the recycling goes when it's picked up at the curbside, how it's funded, and how it can regenerate into profits for the companies that pick it up. We also want to inspire them to come up with their own ways of gathering trash, turning it into cash. So we give them the aluminum can process of how you collect cans and turn it into cash. But we do have some other ideas that we're working through to provide, small part-time jobs for the young youth that want to participate. So those are things that we'll be looking for to bring out in the future.
That's great. Really
Yeah.
understanding the economics of how all this material, as someone who works regularly in recycling, I see the economic side and how important it is versus, you throw something in a landfill and it loses all its value at the point that you do it. But these materials that we create, this waste isn't waste, it's a resource that has value. So I love that you're bringing that into this. Another question that we have is Rudy's broken window theory, which I don't know if we mentioned that term. I was moderating the chat, so I may have missed it. But for those that are not aware of the broken window theory, essentially the visible signs of crime in a community can then encourage more of that to come into a community in a very short way to kind of talk about that theory. But that was something that was seen as a way to reduce crime in New York City. So if you're not seeing those visible signs of crime, then there's maybe not as much of it going on. So the question here is, will you expand what you are doing outside of litter cleanups and move into perhaps expand what you're doing to codes violations so you can get some similar results here that they got in New York City with that kind of theory in mind?
Wow, great question. So, and I want to say I'm a little bit familiar of Rudy's broken window theory. Yes, we do want to expand, and as of right now, we don't really have the team, I would say, to handle the research. We are interested in working with we actually need someone to handle the research part. That's going to be a big, crucial area that we will need to be very informed on before we take that angle. So yes, I love that Rudy's broken window theory, and I do agree that if people see trash in the area, they'll have a trashy mindset. Or if people see, crime in the area, buildings in the area that are just vacant, it projects a certain mindset. So yes, I agree with that. And in order for us to properly approach that, we would need to do our due diligence and research first.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine a litter cleanup, you're in the community, it's kind of a group neighborhood on the public right of way. When you start getting into codes violations, it's individual properties, it's individual potentially homeowners or residents, and that's a much more sensitive situation, I can imagine, to address some of those issues. So if anybody's interested in helping, remember, reach out in the chat, or we'll share contact information for follow-up. How can you've talked, I think, a little bit about this, but just to make sure that there wasn't anything missed, Aaron asks, how can individuals and organizations support the mission and growth? Is there anything that was missed in the chat that you all already had about how individuals and organizations can support you all?
Indeed, great question. That's a number of ways. One, providing professional development services or providing trainings, for in-kind donations or for free. That is one way you can support us and assist us as we grow as an organization. Two, I would say, of course, donating on our website is a great way to support us. And also, or, being a sponsor, becoming a sponsor and talking about what that looks like in our package, whether being an event sponsor, being a, annual sponsor, that is something we can talk about. And that's something you can get access to through an email, through a conversation. And I would also say sharing this information about Recycle Reinvest with people who are passionate about closing the gap between trash and crime. I don't want to just limit it to just litter prevention. I don't want to just limit it to just food waste, but people who are passionate about helping people or assisting people who are in between a hard time and a blessing, and helping us, create more sustainable options for that community. Those are ways that you can support us and help us go forward with this mission. Keith, can you think of anything?
Yes, I would say that we want to get people to understand that clean streets matter.
Yes.
We also need the participation from the youth. We could use more people in our mentorship program so that those people would then go forward and spread the message to their friends and family. We also could use some parent mentor assistance. So that's part of the things that we could use right away for our next upcoming programming session. We do probably annually, I know we did it the first time this year, we used youth for evaluators to go through some of our programming materials and tell us what they think. So we get the feedback from the actual participants. And that has been a good resource. And it's also an opportunity for them to help us create the best possible way to reach out to their peers and youth, understanding what we're trying to do.
That's incredible. So many ways to get involved. The next question, we've got just a couple more questions, it looks like. We're running up on time. Carolyn had asked about getting rid of empty buildings in her area. Do you all have experience with like vacant buildings and that have been sitting there for multiple years? And have you had any kind of intersection with that and trying to find solutions for it? It might be a Hub Nashville thing or something, but just wanted to make sure I asked the question to y'all before I sent her in that direction.
It is actually great question. It is something that we notate and document in our surveys, but it's not something that we are directly striving to focus on, I would say. But it is something that something that we take into account, because that is, a contribution. That's a contribution to everything else that's connected to, from the litter to the crime to, people just having an area to hang out. And so like all those things, and also that, it depreciates the value of the community, all those different things. And it is something that's taken into account, but it's not really one of our focus areas, I would say.
Sure, absolutely. Carolyn, I will suggest to reach out to Hub Nashville, and also feel free to email me, and I'll see who I can, if there's someone in Metro government that I can put you in touch with that makes sense to address if there's any codes violations, or if there's anything on that end, I can try and track some resources down for you as well. Our next, we've got 2 more questions here, but 1 more minute. So I'm going to, oh no, I lied. 1 more question, 1 very lovely comment. I'm going to start with the lovely comment. It says, I don't have a question, but the work you do is amazing. I can't wait to get involved with your organization. So I wanted to share that with you all. And our last question as we close out says, do you have tips on how to make sustainability accessible? Sustainable choices can be highly expensive, and would love to hear if you have any ideas or suggestions on how to start.
Man, so one way how to start is, 1, eat more vegetables. Eating less meats will help preserve animals, and using supporting that corporation, that lifestyle. So eating more vegetables, using reusable bags when you go shopping is something I do as a lifestyle. Setting aside a recycle bin and recycling is a great way. I would say also having a small garden, having a small garden, if you have access to that, is a great way to, be more sustainable. Minimizing what you have in your closet, practicing minimalism is a great way for us to, live a more cost-effective lifestyle and be less harmful to the planet. And I would say, riding a bike more often than you drive a car, something I'm struggling with. It's something I struggle with, trying to ride more bikes than you drive a car, or try carpooling. I do love carpooling. If anyone's up to drive somewhere, we got to go, I'm cool with just sitting to the side. No, but try carpooling, or try taking, there's nothing wrong with taking the bus or using, public transportation. Try to limit that as well. But yeah, those are my tips. Brother Benion, I want to pass over to you.
Okay, we like for the youth to go home and do an assessment of what's going in the trash. Once you start that practice, you can then decide what things you can eliminate from going to the trash, and be mindful of how to keep things out of your trash so that it doesn't create more landfill waste. Anything that's recyclable or repurposable, start to develop habits that help you to maintain that system in your household. We are willing to, educate and supply tips and tricks on how to get started. And that information will probably come in the form of a virtual seminar on our website. So anyone that's interested, please let us know. We'll get back to you with the details of how to get signed up for it.
Also, thank you for that. Also, I want to add before we cut, Recycle and Reinvest offers the service of picking up your aluminum cans. So if you live in an area and you just got like a bundle of aluminum cans and you're like, man, what can I do with all these? We will come and pick those up for you. You can sign up on our website, and it's a whole Cans for Cash. It's a whole Cans for Cash button that you can click. Page. It's a whole Cans for Cash page that you can go to and check out. So that way you can continue to, start practicing more sustainable life style, creating a waste-less space.
I'm so glad that you ended on that, because I wrote that down, the waste less lifestyle. I just, when I get asked that same question, I just think to myself, well, if you don't buy as much stuff, if you don't create the waste, isn't that cheaper than trying to buy a sustainable product if you just maybe don't buy so many things? Anyway, I love it so, so very much. You all have been absolutely incredible and very inspiring today. Cannot thank you enough for being on our program. And Christina, yes, I do have the Bang for Liberation on my calendar. I plan to be there. So I am super excited about that. Christina, I will turn it over to you to just give us a final closeout, and thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you all so much. This was a fantastic, fantastic episode. I feel like I'm going to go back and rewatch this. There were so many things that I was taking notes on. I want to thank both Keith and Jaffee for just being not only wonderful humans, but wonderful presence in the community, and for really just taking care of your own. It's fantastic. And I hope that everyone feels compelled to support this organization in whatever way that makes sense for you, sharing the word or whatever you want to do. Thank you both so much. This was fabulous. We will send all that information out for you all to kind of pick through. Hopefully see some of you at the Bang for Liberation, and then also hopefully see you in November when we start talking about the health impacts of climate change and sustainability. So that'll be a really wonderful way for us to start closing out the calendar year with everyone. So thank you all, and we will see you all in November. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you both.